Hey, family. First, I just want to say thank you for being here tonight. Some of you know me personally, some of you don't, but all of you are part of the reason this project exists. This is the blood of the ancestors. I created this story because I didn't grow up seeing worlds that looked like us treated with depth. Not just pain, not just survival, but complexity, spirituality, intelligence, joy, grief, inheritance. This isn't just fantasy or science fiction. It's about what we carry, what gets passed down, and what happens when memory refuses to stay quiet. I'm sharing this with you first because I trust you, because this project needs community before it needs numbers. If it resonates with you, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel, not just to support me, but to help prove that stories like this matter and deserve space. The long-term dream is bigger than a book, bigger than YouTube. It's about building enough momentum so one day we can see worlds like this on screen, done right, with care, and with us fully represented.
The Blood of the Ancestors, Book 1. Chapter 3, The Ghost and the Code. Los Angeles, the night Nia got home. The apartment was too quiet when she finally unlocked the door. She had driven the last 6 hours with the radio off, windows down, letting the desert wind scour the road noise out of her head. Now the silence felt loaded, like the air before a server farm spins up and decides whether or not to grant access. Nia dropped her keys in the bowl by the door. The sound was too loud. Same modest setup as always. 3 monitors on the IKEA desk she'd assembled herself at 2 a.m. during grad school. A compact server rack under the desk that hummed like a loyal dog. Cables braided neat because chaos in wires made her skin crawl. One wall was nothing but books. Ethnobotany, machine learning, a worn copy of sacred symbols of the Akan her grandmother had mailed from Accra with no note. The other wall was a corkboard covered in sticky notes that had started as a mood board and become a crime scene. She hadn't turned on the overhead light. The glow from the machines was enough. Blue-white, clinical, safe. She told herself she was just going to check email, unpack, sleep. She lied. The moment she stepped fully inside and let the door click shut, every light in the apartment dimmed to gold. Not the warm gold of sunset. Old gold, desert gold, the color of candlelight inside a tomb that has waited long enough. Nia's breath fogged in front of her even though the thermostat still read 74. She stood very still in the center of the living room, palms open at her sides. The hum answered. Gold filaments raced down her forearms, spilling from her skin like liquid light. Where they met the air, reality folded. A perfect sphere of holographic glyphs blossomed around her, 3 meters across, rotating slowly. Inside it, every line of code she had ever written, every photograph of Elijah, every fragmented memory her father had tried to speak into cheap earbuds. No laptop, no keyboard, no screen, just data made, obedient to blood. The air in the center of the sphere thickened, condensed, folded in on itself until it became shape. First light, then dust, then man. He materialized the way static resolves into picture, pixel by pixel, but the pixels were made of sand and time. Tall, shoulders built for carrying centuries, free-form locks threaded with threads of living gold, desert robes that moved like breath, inscriptions crawling across the fabric the way code crawls across a compromised screen. Dr. Elijah Mensah, but not the photograph version. This one was tired. Eyes older than the body, burning with the low, steady flame of someone who has watched 4 generations forget how to pronounce their own names. He looked at her the way you look at a house you built brick by brick and then had to leave unlocked for 118 years.
Nia,
He said, and the name came out layered, her father's baritone under it, her grandmother's alto, something ancient in twee humming beneath like a subwoofer made of bone. She didn't back away. The sphere adjusted, glyphs orbiting slower, giving him space.
You're not real,
She said, voice small, scientific, already cracking.
I'm as real as the fragment I left in your blood the day I reached for Abena and the tablet took everything else.
He lifted one hand. The inscriptions on his robe rearranged themselves into the exact pattern now glowing under her skin.
Real enough to punish, real enough to wait.
He took one step forward. The holographic sphere rippled but held.
I tried to go back.
He said quietly.
One touch, one more look at my wife before the child came. The tablet said no. Said love that steals time is theft. So it scattered me. Bound the largest piece to the unborn daughter, so I would learn the weight of watching your blood forget you.
His voice cracked on the last word, not with drama, just the small, honest break of a man who has had a century to practice grief and still hasn't mastered it. Nia's knees gave. She sank slowly, the holograms lowering with her, until she was sitting in the center of her own creation, glyphs orbiting her head like fireflies made of memory.
My father heard you.
She whispered.
In the earbuds. On the fire escape. My mother called it psychosis.
Your father heard me trying to say sorry.
Elijah crouched so they were eye level. The gold in his irises moved like slow storm clouds.
Every generation, the fragments got thinner. By the time it reached you, it was barely a whisper. But you...
He smiled, and it hurt.
You built machines that listen. You gave the whisper somewhere to shout.
He reached out, slow, giving her every chance to flinch, and laid 2 fingers against her sternum, right where the hum lived. The contact was gentle and absolute. The holograms flared, then collapsed inward, pouring into the point of contact like rivers returning to the sea. The room vanished. She was standing in a grid of pure light, lines of gold code stretching infinite in every direction. Her heartbeat manifested as ripples, each pulse rewriting the grid in Sankofa spirals. Elijah stood beside her, solid now, robes whipping in a wind made of data.
This is the current, not energy, memory in motion. And you...
He turned her to face a distant node where cold white lattice was already threading toward them like frost.
You are the first conduit strong enough to carry me home without breaking.
The white lattice accelerated, sharp, surgical, hungry. Elijah's face hardened.
You're listening.
The grid cracked. A high-pitched tone screamed through the space, the sound of sacred things being forced into compliance. He pressed his palm fully against her chest now. Light poured from him into her, gold, fierce, loving.
When the noise comes,
he said, voice steady even as his edges began to fray.
Remember, truth vibrates higher than fear.
The white lattice slammed into them. The apartment exploded back into existence. Nia hit the floor hard enough to bruise. The holographic sphere shattered outward in a silent ring of gold dust that settled over everything like pollen. She lay there, gasping, chest heaving, gold filaments retreating under her skin like animals burrowing for safety. Then the retreat stopped. The filaments reversed. They didn't fade, they surged. Gold circuitry raced down her forearms in perfect moving adinkra lines, brighter than before, deliberate. Where the light met her fingertips, it spilled outward again, folding the air into a new sphere, larger this time, more confident. She rose to her feet inside her own creation. Elijah's voice came from everywhere and nowhere, soft with pride.
You were never meant to type the truth, Abenania. You were meant to conduct it.
She reached out and turned her wrist. The entire sphere rotated with her. She pinched a cluster of Twi characters floating in the upper left quadrant and pulled them toward her. They enlarged, became readable, became alive. She flicked her left hand, and a waveform appeared. Her father's voice layered over Elijah's 1907 resonance. She rotated it 90 degrees, dragged her thumb across the peaks, and the 2 frequencies locked into perfect harmony. Another gesture, palms pressed together, then opened like a book, and the expedition photographs became a hologram she could step into. She walked through virtual sand, stood beside virtual Elijah as he touched the tablet, watched the exact moment the desert swallowed him from the inside out. She crushed the diorama in her fist. The shards dissolved into golden dust that reformed as a single, pulsing Sankofa orbiting her heart. With a slow exhale, she spread her fingers wide. The entire sphere collapsed into a line of light that speared straight into her sternum. The apartment went dark again. When the lights came back, the holograms were gone. But the gold under her skin now traced perfect, moving circuits from wrist to elbow to shoulder, quiet until she needed them, ready to project the universe into the air whenever she decided the world needed reminding. She smiled, small, fierce, inevitable, and made a dismissing gesture with one hand. Every light in the apartment blinked once in acknowledgement. She booked the first flight to New Orleans without touching a device. The holograms bloomed just long enough to pull the ticket from thin air, confirm, dissolve. As the confirmation glyph faded, her smartwatch buzzed one last time. A single line, gates open, conduit, come claim what's yours. She closed the apartment door behind her without looking back. Behind her, the smoke detector gave one final satisfied chirp, like a house that had finally told its secret and could rest. The blood remembered, and it had learned how to speak with its hands.
The blood grew river, it drowned